So Canelo Alvarez is still considered a big fight at 168 and 175, and he's still very high in most people, including my pound for pound list. I actually have him at number 4. With all that being said, there are 3 fighters in the sport within his weight range that I would pick to beat him. And in this video, I'll be telling you guys the 3 fighters that defeat Saul Canelo Alvarez at this point in time. Now, at one point, I probably would have picked him to beat only one of these 3 guys. I always felt the other 2 would always beat him, but at one point I always felt these fights were very tough, very close calls, and I still consider them difficult fights to predict. But I'm very confident that 2 of these 3 guys beat Canelo, and the 3rd guy that I'm going to list, I do feel would defeat Canelo at this point in time, but it is a very tough fight for me to predict. So the first fighter that I want to mention in this video, and I want to get him out the way because he's the most obvious one, it's actually going to surprise you who I think is the most obvious one. That is Dmitry Bivol. Dmitry Bivol defeats Canelo Alvarez again. The reason I'm listing him first is not due to the fact that I feel he's the best or most dangerous fighter of the 3, but simply off the fact that he's already beaten Canelo Alvarez. He already knows what to do in that fight. He's already showed the blueprint. And what actually makes me more confident in picking Bivol than I would be normally when a fighter has a rematch with an opponent is that Bivol seemed to not just figure out Canelo in the later rounds, but he took over those later rounds. I mean, it's not the type of fight against Canelo where he started off very strong and then Canelo came on strong late and he didn't do enough and Bivol got the decision. No, it was closer in the first 5-6 rounds, and after that point in time, Bivol really started to pull away. Even though the only 2 rounds I gave Canelo in that fight were the 4th and the 9th, those first 3 rounds were relatively competitive, and even after that, Canelo was still keeping it somewhat competitive. It wasn't like he wasn't hitting Bivol of anything too big, but he wasn't letting Bivol completely dominate him. But Bivol figured him out, he broke him down neurologically, and he was able to take over. And I'm still very confident that Dmitry Bivol defeats Canelo Alvarez. Now, I do want to mention, if this fight does happen at 168, I would be a lot less confident in picking Bivol. I understand he's not a big guy for 175. I understand that he could make 168, and that he's not even much bigger than Canelo in the first place. But you guys have to realize that even if he can make 168, it's going to take a lot more manpower and a lot more will to make 168 than it would to make 175. I understand he can make 168, and he claims he can make it comfortably, but if he can make 168 comfortably, imagine how comfortable he was at 175. He's not going to be more comfortable fighting lower. There's no way. He might look better fighting lower because his power might translate a little bit better, but I'm not even sure it would translate better because he would be cutting a lot more weight and he'd be more drained at 168 than he would be at 175. Now, aside from that aspect and aside from the fight being at 168, making it more competitive, I do feel Dmitry Bivol at this point in time is on another level to Canelo Alvarez. He won the first fight very clearly. They almost tried to rob him, but he clearly won that fight 10 rounds to 2. Best case scenario for Canelo is that you could give him 3 rounds, best case. But Bivol is definitely a level above Canelo Alvarez. He figured him out in those later rounds and won the fight very clearly and very impressively. Now, I don't think he would beat Canelo Alvarez as bad as the next guy I'm going to mention, but I do think he has a near guarantee of winning that fight. I'm not going to say guarantee, but I'm very confident that Dmitry Bivol would defeat Canelo Alvarez in a rematch. Also, Canelo Alvarez has not looked great as of late. I feel that he might be slowing down just a little bit. You know, when you fought Dmitry Bivol, he was on top of the world. He was a consensus pound-for-pound number 1. He just came off of going undisputed. He was attempting to make more history and really prove himself even more. He was really riding the wave, and when he fought Dmitry Bivol, that stopped all of that. But at this point, Canelo Alvarez does not have much momentum to his name. After the Bivol fight, he fought Triple G a 3rd time, a fight no one wanted to see, and he looked very poor in that bout. Then he fought John Ryder. Actually, did he fight Ryder first? I don't remember if he fought Ryder or Triple G first. I forgot the order. He may have fought Ryder first, but actually, no, I'm pretty sure he fought Triple G and then Ryder. He fought Triple G, then he fought John Ryder. Either or, I forgot the order. He didn't look good in the Ryder fight either. He actually took some punishment in that fight. I mean, he won it very clearly, and he really hurt Ryder, bloodied him, dropped him, etc. But Canelo took a lot of shots in that fight as well. Nothing huge, but a nice accumulation of shots he took from Ryder in that bout. So he had the Ryder fight, and then after that he fought Jermell Charlo, and I really feel that the Charlo fight, he did not impress me at all. I mean, he won wide, he dominated Charlo. I felt Charlo really fought terribly in that bout, but Canelo didn't look sensational. He got the job done. He asserted control of the fight. He was never in any trouble at all, and he won a very wide decision, and he also dropped Charlo. I believe the first man to do so, but he dragged Charlo up 2 weight classes, and it really doesn't mean much. Canelo does not have the same momentum he did the first time he fought Bivol. I feel he may have even slowed down a little bit, and Bivol has more confidence, and Bivol seemed to have figured out Canelo Alvarez the first time around. The next fight I'm going to mention is the most obvious one in my opinion, Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev defeats Canelo Alvarez, guys. I've been saying this for a very long time, but there's been times where I kind of started to doubt that. I was starting to question if Beterbiev would beat Canelo. I would say to myself, you know, Beterbiev's getting older, he's getting injured, he's very inactive. maybe he would not defeat Canelo Alvarez. Maybe Canelo would find a way to get the decision win. That would not happen. That simply would not happen. Canelo Alvarez cannot defeat Artur Beterbiev. He can't. You saw the shots that he was taking on the ropes versus Dmitry Bivol. If he gets hit by those same shots, it's going to be really bad for Canelo. I'm not going to say he's going to get stopped or dropped. It's going to be really rough. I mean, Callum Smith had a granite chin. You can argue his chin's better than Canelo's. I mean, it's very their chin levels are very similar. Callum is bigger than Canelo, which is probably why his chin might be a little better overall. And Beterbiev made him fold and crumble in 7 rounds. Now, Canelo Alvarez is a better boxer than Callum Smith, as we saw when they fought each other. He also has better defense than Callum Smith. So I'm not going to act like Beterbiev's going to walk through Canelo. He's not. It is going to be a difficult fight for Beterbiev. Canelo will give him some tough looks, but I cannot see him beating Artur Beterbiev. I really can't. Beterbiev is an absolute monster, and I see him actually being the only man that I'm going to mention that really has a chance of stopping Canelo. I think he has a very good shot of stopping Canelo. I'm not sure if I'd pick him to win by stoppage, but I do think he has a very good chance of stopping Canelo Alvarez. Beterbiev is an animal. He's a beast. When Artur Beterbiev has to wake up for a fight, when he actually takes a fight really seriously, and I'm not saying he doesn't take certain fights seriously, but there's times where Beterbiev clearly looks better than others. He did not look that good against Yard, and he did not look that good against Adam Denis. But in this bout that he had against Callum Smith, against Joe Smith, against Marcus Brown, when we get that version of Artur Beterbiev, Canelo cannot beat that guy. Here's the thing. If Canelo tries to outbox Beterbiev, Beterbiev is just going to keep cornering him and keep outworking him to a decision. If he tries to bang with Beterbiev, he is going to get hit with some big shots. I understand Canelo has good defense, and he's going to slip a lot of Beterbiev's work. But anytime they get in the clinch, anytime they get on the inside, he's going to take a lot of punishment, and he's not going to be able to defeat Beterbiev. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Artur Beterbiev would beat Canelo Alvarez at this point. Even at 40 years old, Beterbiev is too good. And the final fighter I want to mention, this fighter is actually going to surprise you guys because not many people were actually expecting me to put this guy on the list. They really thought that someone else might end up making the list. But the final guy, the guy that would dominate Canelo Alvarez, probably win a very wide decision, is Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. I think we all know deep down in our hearts that Demetrius Andrade has always had Canelo Alvarez's number, and that is why he's never willingly taken on Andrade. Also, the fact that Andrade is a southpaw, he's taller, he's longer, better reach. There's a reason that Canelo Alvarez didn't fight Andrade when he only needed one more title at 160 to go undisputed. Andrade held that final belt, the WBO, and he didn't fight him because he knew that Andrade would be the man to dethrone him. If he fought Andrade and beat him like he should have, he would have been a 2-weight undisputed champion. Now, obviously, that was an entire joke. A good 45 seconds. It may have gone on a little too long. I probably should have cut the joke short a good 30 seconds ago because a lot of people probably clicked off by now and probably actually think Andrade is the third fighter on this video. Obviously, it's David Benavidez who dominated Demetrius Andrade. David Benavidez is too big, too strong. Canelo Alvarez is getting older. Benavidez would defeat Canelo, in my opinion, in a close fight. Probably on points. I'm not sure he'd stop Canelo. He probably wouldn't stop Canelo. I think at this point, he would probably win a very competitive decision. I think the longer Canelo waits, the worse it is for him. I feel he should have fought Benavidez a year or two ago when he had the chance. Now, I feel it's too late, and I would pick Benavidez. I've always picked Canelo to win that fight, or at least for a good while, I picked him to win that fight. I feel honestly, I can't pinpoint the moment that my prediction changed, but at one point, my prediction changed. It may have been after the Caleb Plant fight. At some point, I switched over to Benavidez winning, and I was very unsure of it at one point. I'm still not that sure of it, but I would pick David Benavidez to beat Canelo. I think he'd outwork him. His hand speed's really good. His work rate's really good. His pressure. If Canelo tries to fight Benavidez in the pocket and tries to push him back, he's gonna get bullied. And if he tries to outbox him, which I think would be a better game plan, I feel he would not have necessarily the power to keep Benavidez off of him. And I feel his footwork, it's good, but it's not good enough to where he won't be able to evade Benavidez's work for long, and I see Benavidez getting the job done. So, quick little recap, little breakdown. Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, and David Benavidez are the 3 fighters that I would pick to defeat Canelo Alvarez. Of course, there's other guys that are worth considering. A lot of people are actually high on the Christian and Billy hype train. I do think Billy is a beast, but I do think he's way too flawed at this point. Canelo would outbox him, probably box circles around him. When it comes to David Morrell, I am super undecided. I do like Canelo's experience when it comes to considering that bout. I want to see a little bit more from Morrell, but I do feel Morrell has the talent for sure to beat Canelo. But would I go out of my way to pick him? Probably not yet. I need to see a little more. I would like for him to have a little more pro experience. That's a 50-50 though, Canelo Alvarez and David Morrell. Thanks for watching though. Tell me down in the comment section below. Who do you guys think beats Canelo Alvarez? Name me the fighters down below. Do you disagree with any of these 3 picks? The only one I really see as controversial is picking Benavidez. I still think Canelo is a slight favorite over David Benavidez, But I feel most people are going to agree with Dmitry Bivol, and most people are going to agree with Artur Beterbiev. Have a good one, guys. God bless. Hopefully Canelo makes one of these fights. I'll see you guys later. Peace.